Mama, make you pray for me. Because we don't tire. We don't tire for this oppression. That's why we dey ask for solution. Police they kill your soul. Governments they burn our soul. I be like, hey, now what thing we go do? Now we dey do. Cause if we not stand up, nothing for tomorrow. What thing we could tell our pikin? Say we no fight for our rights.
To you from the Society for Radio Democracy 98.1 FM 7:51 and the time for most studio clock and earlier now one power headline them. We tell una say today we continue for look inside President Bio in 3 years office as the president for the Republic of Sierra Leone. If people can remember, April 2018, after the general elections, President Bio bin win the election. We make automatically be the president for the Republic of Salon and in tenure of office supposed for be for 5 years according to the Constitution of Salon. Well, from that time day to now, it don't be president for 3 years. And from Wednesday, we don't look at different sector them and bring different people them. We can analyze the president in work where he don't do for develop Salon. Yesterday, we began the president himself when he can give accounts to the people of Salon for the past 3 years what he don't do in the country. Well, today we bring political party them where we can give their own different analysis them from their own political party point of view as to how they see President Bio in 3 years in office in terms of implementing some of a manifesto promises them and safe for do development projects them when are some of the key things the way he promised Salon people them during the term way he be the campaign. Well, for can help we do the analysis there so now the studio this morning. I want to welcome Sierra Tunis, when are the acting publicity secretary for the All People's Congress APC party. Good morning, Mr. Tunis, and welcome to the program. Good morning, Salon.
Good morning, Khadija. Thanks for getting me here this morning.
And also, I want to welcome Emmanuel Tamba Moipe, the Deputy Secretary General for the Coalition for Change, where people can call C4C party. Good morning, Mr. Moipe, and welcome to the program.
Good morning, Khadija. Good morning, listeners.
And we get the chairman for the National Grand Coalition, the NGC party, where themselves, now one party opposition party, them we get seats in parliament. Good morning, Dr. Bright, and welcome to the program.
Good morning, and good morning to listeners.
And would they expect somebody from the Salon People's Party, where then at the party, where they in governance, as themselves will can make their analysis as to how then see President Bio in performance 3 years down the line where don't be president. Where they start with the APC, where na the main opposition party, and then at the immediate past administration where President Bio been take over. Let we go down the line, Mr. Tunis, 3 years of President Bio in stewardship. How una party able for assess some of the things them where His Excellency the President don't do, especially key area them where it will make mention of now in New Direction Manifesto for ensure say it give better life to the people of Sierra Leone and safe being condemned some certain thing them we get for do with tribalism and it talk about corruption and some other things them.
Well, thank you very much, Khadija. For us as the main opposition, we don't assess, we don't follow the style of governance of the current administration since they came into office in 2018. And for we go only assess them, say it has been more of 3 years of politics than 3 years of governance. We say more of the activities have been politically centered rather than governance. And some of the things that you mentioned, parties then they come into governance based on the manifesto we then sell, and then the people can buy them manifestos and they through the votes then they cast. A lot of the manifesto promises with the Israeli People's Party we've been there in opposition make when the people of this country fall for I mean, areas then we clearly then partially implement, but then they fall far short of waiting them promise the people of this country. If I can start, even before I go into some of the statements then the president make yesterday and on other media houses then we don't attend, even go into them political ideology according to their own manifesto where they sell to the people of this country. Then say the new direction manifesto of the people is based on political ideology of social democracy and its fundamental commitment to peace, freedom, security, justice, equality, unity, and solidarity. Then keywords then the peace, freedom, security, justice, equality, unity, and solidarity, that them really I want for focus on. When you look at the current administration, clearly, even by the president in your own statement, INSESF admits say we will not get unity in Asalo. We country divide, not only on political line, but we don't begin see a dangerous trend. We will also now see under this administration, we don't see a divide even on tribal line, where for us a worrisome as opposition. And we don't see, as far as democratic freedom is concerned, we don't see the door closing more and more and more as far as democratic freedom concerned, especially where it gets for do with the government, the engagement with opposition parties. The relationship, I'm not going to call it one way cordial, and that make us say it has been more of 3 years of politics, because when you govern under democratic governance, you not only get for listening to voices we favor you, you also for able for listening to voices where they oppose or we critical of what you do. That the government, the opposition, and all the state and non-state actors working together, now then they move development and governance of the state. But for the past 3 years, we not see that. For the past 3 years, we also don't see a lot of human rights abuses. We don't see a lot of arbitrary arrest of people, especially opposition people. If you read the 2020 Human Rights Report on Sierra Leone, they highlight all of them abuses, then they including the arrest of opposition party members, the killings in Makeni, the killings in Lonsa, the massacre on Pademba Road. We don't see all of them things. Then the attack on the APC office, and then also the attack on other opposition leaders, including the NGC leader and Akambia. All of them things then we don't see for the past 3 years. In terms of even the flagship, whether the free quality education, we see partial implementation of that. As far as we are concerned, when you say free education, waiting promise we na the manifesto.
Would they take the sector them step by step? We
Okay.
just don't make late premise on certain issues that we get for do with the relationship between UNA's opposition party and that of the ruling government. And when you talk about sustainable democracy in any state, the government of the day supposed for work hand in hand with opposition party them, in as much as UNASEF get a role for criticize constructively on the job of the government waiting in the do. Waiting at UNA support, UNA don't make effort as opposition party we just come in governance for extend a working hand to the ruling government?
Severally. I mean, the job of the opposition are for checkmate waiting government they do, where we feel say not right and where we feel say right. Where we feel say right, we support, and where we feel say not right, we they raise concerns in so many ways, either directly writing, we don't write several letters to the president, to the government on key issues, and then also we don't.
Responses?
In most cases, we not can get response. We don't make efforts for meet on issues. In most cases, we not get response. But I just want to bring your attention to some things where the president said yesterday.
Okay,
For example,
and after that, the program Good Morning Salon will continue.
Sierra Leone commercial.
C'est non commercial bank.
The program Good Morning Salon will continue, and today inside the program we will continue to look at the 3 years in governance of President Bio in regime, and we will start with Sierra Leone, when are the acting national publicity secretary for the All People's Congress APC party, and he will make some statements them. And before we go for the break, he will mention or state some of the things them way His Excellency the President Julius Maada Bio make yesterday. You can continue with that.
Yes, I remember when them bring this issue about the government working with opposition and relationship with opposition. And I see it make several references. Like, for example, it make reference to people, they say it's not tribalism for pull people out of job. And they make reference to President Joe Biden. For example, we make changes in government. We agree. When governments, they come to power, then they change, certain levels of governance, not to all levels. You not see President Joe Biden, for example, go to the State Department and remove everybody when a Republican and replace them with Democrats. You not see President Joe Biden go to other, Secretary of Homeland Security, for example, and do that. In fact, President Joe Biden even retained the head of FBI when Donald Trump appoint. But let me even go beyond that one day. When President Joe Biden, for example, became president of the United States of America, in party not been get control of the Senate. But we not see President Joe Biden send policemen and go to the Senate and beat senators, kick them out, just so that they go able, get control of the Senate, or use the courts and remove elected members of parliament where the same election we make we president who will get now president of this country. Now that same election they make the APC control the parliament because the people of this country elected the members of parliament. So as president, I believe say when you want for strengthening democracy, those are some of the things that we for don't ever tolerate. So that is where our problem started. So when we make comparisons of their nature and day, we get for look at how then country then they respect their institutions them. We don't make them democracy, don't strengthen, and how we self go replicate them. We not only focus on the nitty-gritty. That is one aspect of it. Then I also hear the president, they say, oh, if you go like your ex-boyfriend. Unfortunately, governance, not to boyfriend and girlfriend business. Our governance structure is such that it make way for multi-party democracy, wherein the government and the opposition for work together for push this nation forward.
So you talk about inclusion in governance. Things if most of the entire will be the mention, be the 10 or 12 years back, if it don't be a continuation?
Of course it was. I mean, name me one instance.
But still, you get people away.
Name me one instance in the previous administration where say you see one institution go call 200 people and fire the whole from the job.
But you still get institutions the way you get Northerners them way still they work there. You want to see that?
We know they talk about Northerners, Southerners.
No, but we talk about inclusion and get to do with tribe and other certain side.
Would they talk about the party and the statements, the party in also governance and party in opposition? We know they talk about tribe now.
No, yeah, my point why they say you talk about people where they work in a certain institution, where belong in a certain tribe.
And they talk about not a tribe.
So what do you try for say? Or my question is, things say most of the entire way they mention, if it be done the be in 10, 11 years back, if it be done be a continuation trend.
I don't know exactly what they talk about, but what they try for to tell you Naya is this. By the president in your admission, self, that they give people a job because it's sabi them. They give us in job who are not sabi. So you get people, that is wrong. That is not how it's supposed to be. Right. You forgive every Sierra Leonean job with competent for the job. But we see then they fire people out of job even where the jobs then get security of tenure. Only because they are perceived to belonging to the opposition party, not to try me to focus on Naya. Now the facts say, when they talk about inclusiveness, we understand. We are political appointees, ministers, ambassadors. Then side they understandable. President, you can't hear appoint, but going down to the need, waiting secretary get for do with politics. Waiting messenger get for do with politics.
Okay,
all of them things then we don't see happen, and we go continue in the program for look at some of the statements.
Sierra Tunis, acting publicity secretary for the All People's Congress APC party. When they come to other studio guest, Emmanuel Tamba Moipe, weighing at the deputy secretary general for the Coalition for Change C4C party. Mr. Moipe earlier asked the question to Mr. Tunis. From una own party, the C4C point of view, wetin go be una analysis when you look at President Bill in 3 years in office as the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, taking into consideration some of the things them way in a new direction manifesto where he used for campaign for come into governance.
Thank you very much, Khadija. C4C as a party, which me they represent here this morning, we get series of analysis we don't do in relation to President Bio in 3 years and 3 years in governance. And to be candid enough, President Bio, as much has not been done in 3 years in governance. INSESF don't admit them. See, much has not been done, and there is still more to be done. I want to talk on the issue where President talked yesterday in an interview. You see, one of the actions, intentional, which very unfortunate as the head of state. Meaning one of the actions when are intentional for impose the cybercrime, because I call her imposed in the sense certain clauses they did in the cybercrime where it not called for. If you look into her, yes, we give the president an applaud where it make the expunge the 1965 Public Order Act. But also for bring that back in the other terms, then bring in the cybercrime, wherein for victimize the opposition, for silence them, for let them know, voice out the opinion when things are going wrong or when negative things are happening. And also, I talk about division in the country. They said the country be done divide ever since, with man they be done divide way. For me, I take and say, now unfortunate statement as the number one gentleman of the state. You cannot utter that statement. See, the country be done divide. In the manifesto, we talk on. They say there is division in the country. But what in government go do? If we as Sierra Leoneans vote them in, it go bring all man together for unite the country.
So in line with that division, the way you talk about, where somebody accepts the fact and able point say something they go wrong, you don't think say it's more better than where they twist the words?
Well, for me, it's not to the guys possible to pronounce that because if you can't say, yes, the country don't divide ever since. I mean, you as the head of state, what are you role for make this country unite? You need to bring the parties together.
This same division what they talk about, when you look inside the new direction manifesto where President will be used for campaign. Now one of the highlights then and one of the things them way it make clear say if it come into governance, it go try for put an end. We go ensure say in government be a government of inclusion, where means say everybody for come on board. The strides them way the president don't make as of the term way he become the president of the Republic of Salon to now. You think say he don't actually do the things the way he talk about inside the new direction manifesto for bring people together?
No. And not actually do for bring people together. Why I say no? We all are Sierra Leone and we all day. You don't go give job to people because you sabi me. Mr. Limaya, I'm his schoolmate. He was my expo. Yes. You know, who give me job because of a sabimi without merit. And President talk as you know, you go give job to that is sabi, which not for be so. So that's all they create a division in the states. I mean, much, do much.
So you think say 3 years in governance for addresses so many issues and expected things from the public enough for this present administration able to fulfill some of the key things within state inside the manifesto?
I want for just bring this just common example. You send your pikin go school, you pay school fees for I go first term, e not do well. First term we get 3 term in the school calendar. First term e not do well, second term e not do well. You feel say third term you go able to do better? No.
All right.
You not go able to do better.
All right. Continue.
So if you look at to me 3 years, e not do nothing. So when in the next 2 years, what do you expect of her?
All right.
Because after this year, by 2022, now we are going to look at council.
All right. Continue for the between the program, Mr. Moipe, the Deputy Secretary General for the C4C party. We come now to the National Grand Coalition, the NGC party, as we get a chairman between the studio where na Dr. Dennis Bright as himself go give we in their own political party view as to waiting at the analysis 3 years down the line of President Bio in government. Waiting at the NGC the analysis in terms of keeping up to the promises in the new direction manifesto.
Okay. Within the period where we get now, it go difficult for able to give a proper full analysis of what we talk. So, but we go attempt, and I will talk from the point of view of a political party. We feel say we don't ready for run this country, and a political party like that, it get for analyze and observe within the mistakes then where the previous governments then they make, so that they're not going to make the same mistake within kind of power. So my own analysis, I not go to specifics. I go start first of all with them promises them we political parties then can make, we can they inside the manifesto. You see, in country like this, we don't broke. You find out, say, everything na priority. Almost everything na priority. So waiting at the thing is that the manifesto them, the parties then can make now a wish list of all waiting them facing them for doing all thing a priority. So you actually find out, say, in many cases, the priority of the government or of one political party, it can differ from the real priorities of the people. That's one observation we don't make. Pan this government and previous governments. This government in priority, human capital development, fantastic. We support the free quality education. The implementation is a different thing. But the idea, the concept of building human capital, we've been supporting. Accountability, the fight against corruption. President, we talk about leakages. We don't know if the leakage don't stop or if the drainage don't open. If we talk about unemployment, we get to deal with the bread and butter of the people. And then there was infrastructure. But what thing you observe right now, for these 3 years where they don't work, is that the people them tend for the cry, say, no, we get a different set of priorities, then different from una own. Una look at we own. Hunger, food. Now number one. And you go see all the research the way they do, they prove them. Water. Basic things them like a food, water, light, health, justice. Now the people are you. You go find out say even this corruption what they talk about so. If you go na some side upline, where they talk about all waiting and don't discover this anti-corruption business, the people don't know self what they talk about. Waiting they're interested in now how they go survive. So when you get them difference then they now against that backdrop of the difference between government, their own so-called priorities, and the people, their own immediate priorities there, that difference they now in the make, even though governments feel say it don't do so well because in the gauge itself by the priorities where don't fix itself, the people them then continue for be disenchanted, then continue for be disgruntled because the priorities the way government they pursue, not to the priorities the way then get. Now that first analysis day, now we get for understand the reason why government they celebrate, but the people then they lament.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dr. Bright, yesterday we the president will give account of his stewardship after 3 years. It will make mention of the area of making people uncomfortable. The way you just make mention, so reducing the suffering, because suffering are one of the things the way he highlights now the new direction manifestos, the way he come, it go make sure say salon people uncomfortable. In that area, they make mention of the COVID being a stumbling block. We make certain things them way in government be intend for do, they not be able for do it. From the NGC perspective, una one of the opposition party them way over the time. We don't they see when they come out with the reports, when they go down na the markets them, talk to people them, especially we'll talk about price of local commodities them. You think say the COVID na be a genuine excuse from His Excellency say it don't be a stumbling block?
Well, from October 2018, now we don't do a survey in our ground for show you how things they become more and more difficult for the ordinary man for even eat now us. COVID come much later for can aggravate the situation. But long before COVID they come, we don't they talk about this. Not only will they talk about that's it, but not to just the hunger no more, we talk about the private sector we seem for the die. Before this COVID they come, because of then they complain about taxation and all sorts of things there. You see shop then businesses then they close. We don't begin complain about that. So we not go use COVID as the thing will make government not able to do well. I mean, all government gets your own disaster. Okay. You know, one will be Ebola, the other one are COVID. Not to that we they talk about. We never go down to brass tracks. Like a way to have been told so just now. That divergence with the between government their own manifesto priorities and the people their own priority. Government for know when they run a country how to adjust to the currency of the situation the way they meet. If government be non plan say yes for make free quality education now important, then don't see them that way. So to where they can find out, then go find out say that kind of thing they get more long-term, medium and long-term effect than the immediate one now. What's in the immediate one now? The immediate one is that the people them, the economy, the bread and butter issues then don't take precedence over. This is the reason why, as a responsible opposition, we coming very quickly, very early for begin signal then things then they. Not for oppose government as sort of for condemn government, but not for contribute, just like how I talk to the opposition, they say get them a role for play. But if you look what's in the happen now, even the free quality education, you find out that I hope so we'll do a comprehensive review of the implementation, not to the concept, the idea, the implementation of the free quality education. You find out, I ask somebody and say, is there any document where I'll go for friend about this free quality? You have to read and know, basically object this and that. But it's all scattered all over the place. It's a policy, a general policy, an idea, but not a program as such. So it's very difficult now, even for monitor and know exactly what's in the happen. So you find out, say now, the freeness is very easy to evaluate, but the quality don't become another problem.
From what you don't say, Dr. Dennis, but is it that the manifesto not in line with the new direction priority for address to daily needs of the people?
Who's on the new direction priority for address the dealing is
that things the way people want. You want to say not they in place at all, considering the fact that of all it in the way they don't they implement.
What I tell you now, the things the way the people want, not to in the new direction. It not coincide with the new direction. Now that's what it's guy for say. The new direction, they go in the direction. The people themselves don't see them. That last perception survey, where they may do. The people then say the government not they go in the right direction as far as they're concerned. Over 70% of the people in talk. So what I'm saying here is, every government for know how to adjust by what it offend on the ground. Because when you not come into power yet, you get all the ideas there and everything. But when you don't come to power, you don't hold the reins of power. You for know how to study people, adjust and respond first to the people, rather for respond to what you don't feel say in your own idea. Right. All these complaints, we see people and they complain today. Now, the root of that complaint, now because the government, and there's something peculiar about this government, where would they talk about division and opposition? There's something peculiar about this government. They're so steeped in their ways that they're not they listen to nobody. Like what they explain, they're not they listen. So now I make we don't depend this situation this now. Then go they celebrate or the people and they lament.
All right. Continue for the week in the program. Dr. Dennis Bright, and the chairman for the National Grand Coalition. In case you just tune in, the program na Good Morning Salon, and today na the program we get political party them as we continue for assess President Bio in 3 years in office as President of the Republic of Sierra Leone. So we don't listen to the APC, C4C, and the NGC. And now we carry with the Salon People's Party, as we all know, na dem party day in governance. We get the publicity secretary for the Salon People's Party, winner Lahai Lawrence Liman. Good morning, Mr. Liman, and welcome to the program Good Morning Salon.
Good morning, Khadija, and good morning, listeners.
All right, we are party day in governance for 3 years now. So today na the program we assess some of the things them where President Bio administration don't do according to what he been promised the people of Sierra Leone. That the new direction manifesto, as it be titled in manifesto, and it be a short Salon people say, when it come into governance, now a new direction the country they go into, taking into consideration different things the way be highlighted the manifesto say, not they happen right. The APC don't give their own perspective, C4C, and you just listen to the NGC. Now, as publicity secretary for the Salon People's Party, how you can assess President Bio administration for the past 3 years as to taking the country to a new direction where we assure Salon people then?
Very successful and on the trajectory for make progress and change this country. And bring back this country to the old glorious days. And it's a government with a leadership we get focus and know with direction and not being distracted. Having said that, make I just make some fun for even show how we believe in diversity. They talk at least with a mic we get a red color and we get green, where they should say, this is how we live as a country, that we are all diversified, we get our own beliefs and aspirations them. But when it comes to a national agenda, we focus on national agenda. It transcends then things than the way actually make we sit in segments. So now, coming back to the issues them we see the talk, well, I will actually be euphemistic this morning for say, I'm not going to talk say the lie, but I want to say much of the things that we raise is not true, and like I able to give the true version of waiting, me no say, the president say, and waiting they happen. Talking about peace, freedom, unity, solidarity, justice, yes. At the point in time, this is no gainsaying. We've all been doing at this country where, of course, the APC not ever left power way by peaceful means. This is not the first democratic means in which the APC come on power. So then we always feel say, now only barrel will pull in power. But President Bio and the SLPP consistently make a case say, we need for go into the polls without any violence, because violence be done across this country for intimidate people, as that is part of the traditional practices of the APC. But we been feel say, as a government or as a party, we been feel say, we don't need for use the part of violence for make we able for achieve peaceful means for every Sierra Leoneans. And so we ensure say we do the right thing for monitor the elections, put the right processes in place. We're going to make sure say we get free, fair, and transparent elections. So this government come to power at a time where many, even the leadership, President Bio, say You can't go after opposition, go after people and we don't vilify in character and all. But then in first statement, where he make when a public statement that he's president for all Sierra Leoneans, and true to his word, he don't live up to that expectations. We don't see in this country outside the president even put concept together and invite other foreign bodies for foreign experts for can assist we on how we go able to work.
It don't live up to that
peace,
expectation, Mr. Lima.
you say the president.
You said the president don't live up to that expectation as to in pronouncement where he makes it will be a president for all.
For all Sierra Leoneans.
But we don't hear complaints or issues of illegal sacking from offices based on tribe, illegal sacking from key institutions them where the people can get tenure of office because His Excellency, according to her yesterday, he go work with somebody where he comfortable with. So how that statement the way it be make don't reflect based on the issues them on ground.
Well, before I come to what perhaps you perceive as illegal sacking, we may call as as a replacement in office where the president get the constitutional right. Let me just conclude on this address. That the president don't try as best as possible under his leadership for put together the Peace Commission where he extend invitation to all political parties, including the APC, where they're not sure. And also the issue of saying that when the APC don't make effort for get meeting with this government has been proved futile. That not true. And that make they say when you sit on public radio, you talk to people on things and we factual, we get evidence based. Be very careful for your integrity and your own future. Now inside this country, we don't see former President Ernest Kroma don't visit State House on 2 occasions. On the second occasion, I've been there in that meeting with other former ministers and other stakeholders of the APC. We all sit down first in a conference talk. After that, we Komonado, the former president and the current president, get a tete-a-tete inside a closed door with Komonado. And after that, we come out, president smile to them all, talk to them, say, well, they meet from time to time. Tell me, says, I've even get for engage the former minister of youth, Mr. Bai Mahmoud Bangura. I said, well, they talk, share numbers. And after that, Ambassador Yansane don't reach out to me on many occasions on a few things that we're not happy about. We don't talk about them, and I don't see how best myself can help for make sure say at least we're able for do waiting, we're able for help with country. So when somebody can sit on our radio and say you don't make effort for reach out to these governments, they accept. Be very careful for your integrity.
So now back to the question.
Now the point is this president and this government don't make efforts for make sure say we rise beyond. We sentiments them when it comes to dealing with national issues. So now, dealing with the issue of division, where the president make mention of where a lot of people, because of politics, don't try for understand them in their own context. The president was simply saying that, of course, we are divided by tribes, we are divided by ethnicity, and even with geopolitics, we are divided. But against that backdrop of with division, then we need for be united on national issues. In other words, he was saying, in diversity, there is unity. And that unity, the point of that unity is on national interest. And at that, the president even be emphasized, and I say, not to impersonal friend with former president, but on national issues, then he meet and discuss on personal development. We don't see a situation where the president current invites the former Minister of Internal Affairs and also former Minister of Defense for make them go sit together and discuss issues on how we go able to fight the corona. In other words, the former Minister of Internal Affairs and Defense, not any medical expert, but at any rate, he gets some managerial experience as to how they deal with the Ebola. So inviting him is still for sure how much we believe in national cohesion and how much we believe, say, when it comes to national issue, we go for cut across and invite everybody where it matter for able to contribute in ideas for the national development of this country. So the president don't do that, and that's a visible word on Siam. We all even see in the process where he make mistake, when also he be indicted, he go to prison. We see the shocks that will come, even in terms of trying for go liberate them or try for even do other things the way for don't degenerate national security. Some of we rise beyond personal sentiment and make sure say we stabilize national security. Today, he's a free man working, doing his politics without anybody to disturb him. This tells you how much the leadership believe in national cohesion, how much he believe in peace and development, and how much he believe in national.
Talk so Lima enough for say His Excellency the President, from when he take over office in 2018 to now, he don't able to bring everybody together.
It don't put policies there in place, and it don't demonstrate those policy actions
Putting
by
policies,
real actions. That's what I'm
putting
saying.
policies and implementing policies are two
That is
different
what I'm
things.
saying. By putting policy actions in place and by demonstrating in real terms actions for implement them policies, and they don't do them by inviting even former ministers for like we see how best, including CDW Sidoya, it was part of that team where go State House. You know, and now he's here also telling lies to the public. If president don't take them practical steps, then you understand, for see how much it involves other leaders of other political parties for all work together in the best national interest, waiting past other policy actions beyond that. And even above that, we see this country when, of course, the accusation, the issues then become around the former Minister of Internal Affairs, where people even make examples. Sierra Leone say, if by mistake Lima been go to weapon, na State House, so turn little body them for don't pull that place instead of even putting him to trial. This is also to show how much the president believes in rule of law and believe in the principles of justice, where it be say that are the only means we go kill somebody or go spare somebody in life, and give free hands to the justice sector for make sure say this country will move beyond political sentiment, tribal sentiment, and we work as one as a nation. And that is what we have done. In terms of development and distribution of the national cake, the president not only pick and choose in terms of in development policies. The president, in fact, don't take more development program to the western area, to the northern provinces than even the southeast, to the extent that even NGC there, where them come from the southeast, then they even play on with people in mind for talk say, this government, they take more development to the northwest than even the southeast for big young people that out against it. But over and above all, we believe, say, politics, when you don't get in that national seat, national development you drive, and you drive national development based on priority needs and based on the available resources and how you go able for distributor to the benefit of the people. Because if there is comfort in Makeni here today, where Kenema or Kailan or Makeni, that comfort what they enjoy na Kailan or Kenema, are for able enjoy na Makeni. So that is what we believe in
so
national
now,
development.
Let me look at all of the things that we don't mention. We get for the governance and national cohesion. You don't talk about the space where this present administration don't extend to other political party, them precisely the opposition when at the APC, but still complain they come out from them for say, on another don't be open, on another don't be transparent. And the issue about the one them where they give work based on USA you belong and USA you come out. Why you think so with all interior so don't create, they are still complaining now and not doing the right thing inside these 3 years in governance? Because
they want for play politics. Because this is not what the president even meant yesterday when he say not to give position to person with Sabi. Khadija, for goodness sake, if you did at this program today, now because you get fair knowledge on handling political issues, for know how best you go raise questions, we go clear the doubts in the minds of people, and that is why you sit on this program. You know, go get an intern here today where perhaps you don't know how much, una go give program to. So certainly, as much as you can even go interview President Nkrumah on, former President Nkrumah on this, he go tell you say, it give appointment based on how it sabi people and how it know them work ethics. And simply, now that the president said yesterday, I give job to people that I know their work ethics and I know their performance at the material time. It go possible say me and Dr. Bright, we get knowledge in the same thing. But if the president sabi me work ethics better than Dr. Bright, he prefer for work with me better way sabi than Dr. Bright, because the buck stop with him. If anything go wrong, nine and go blame. If you go good, nine and go blame. And that is what makes leadership. Leadership now forget the ability and the capacity for able to identify resource materials, and then you utilize them resource materials, then they effectively for national development. Right. If based on the president's perception on individuals and he appoint them to office, then come, they not live up to expectations, then he get the sole responsibility for make sure say he change them and put other person where get the competence for able to perform.
Okay.
So basically now that the president mean. And in terms of also responding to that question where we say the president don't put people in the offices where get tenure. Okay, tenure in office, yes, it matter, but equally so the president gets a sole responsibility for hire and fire. And some of their offices, then they even will get tenure, it also gets a own political ramification. If change, where we come to power on the notion of change, we see say there are certain key offices where now one of the parameters and then in which the former APC actually go out of governance, we see say now one of the things and we be don't say they can't fight on the issue of corruption. The president ever puts the right person where he feels say go for help in cause for fight. And we see the pragmatic steps there even when the ACC commissioners don't take in terms of helping for put a new life into the fight against corruption. We makes most of the former ministers, instead of going to prisons, so they
Lahai Lawrence, we come back to you.
We come now to CDI Atinis. When come back to CDI Atinis, the acting publicity secretary for the All People's Congress APC party. Well, as I stated earlier, we they try for look at different sector them, especially the one they win a key one them under President's Bill in New Direction manifesto. Don't talk about the division. Now let's look at the area of corruption. Now one way people be hearing the president talk tough about during the campaign. And safe during a maiden speech na the National Stadium, even go ahead and declare war on corruption. 3 years, His Excellency administration don't they do things for fight corruption? How na can assess the strides steady?
Well, in the first place, me believe say the fight against corruption are one way this government not do well on at all. I mean, the fight's more targeted at opposition people and people way probably not they in high profile offices. And also, you know, this is something we really need for look at closely because it been actually striking and stunning for me why I read the president they say mere pronouncement say somebody corrupt, not mean say corrupt. You get for sure evidence say the person corrupt. But then the fact of the matter is we get institutions that are where they ensure transparency and accountability. And where they look at issues we get for do with misappropriation of resources. The audit service, for example, for make audit reports come out to a way then go down say funds misappropriated, they must have done some investigations, they must go down look at some offices and then see say how their money then they spent, you know, proof not they that go lead them for produce reports. And let we not forget, say, most of the evidences we then use against former ministers and other heads of parastatals where they under commissions of inquiry now, audit reports now be one major evidence we then use. And also we see evidences as far as assets where being flawed, where the man will value the houses, the properties, not even go now some of their houses then they. But in the end, they accept the evidences them as, you know, genuine, and a lot of people they caught today based on their flawed evidences. They not raise alarm. But now with the we own president say you get for sure evidence and all. But let we look at the revelations we would only get from the Africanist press. Which evidence you go get way more glaring than bank records where they show withdrawals, transfers, and all of them things then they, you know, way not for don't trigger certain kind of investigation. That is one aspect of it. And now we even say now the Anti-Corruption Commission, they want for investigate some of their matters they are. If you don't read the president, they justify or they try for defend certain money, we don't go to somebody with the whole, we don't raise issue. How you, the commissioner, go investigate that matter? As far as I am concerned, it just don't expose the Anti-Corruption Commission to a public ridicule, you know, which is really unfortunate because this is now one area where we feel say enough or don't touch at all. If issues don't come out, let it allow the investigation for go on based on whatever evidence where the Anti-Corruption Commission then go come out with. If they say it's not proper, let them make the decision. But as far as we are concerned, the fight against corruption are one way really, you know, the level of corruption they see now under this administration in so many areas.
So in line with what
now we even take the issue we get for do with the rest for the Pekin them, the school feeding rest we come. We all see what's happening. Clearly, people then take the rest, then do all that thing, and then bring them in. the Anti-Corruption Commission for let them charge case na court, they must go down investigate and get enough evidence before they charge. The case not go down na court, then go withdraw, say, we'll not get case again. We see them in the rice issue. We see them with the drivers union issue. The case then na court, then go withdraw, and 3 days later, the man was appointed by the president. Mr. You don't need a rocket scientist for understand why then go withdraw the case from the court.
The issue about the corruption, what they look at inside this president's administration in 3 years in governance, if Ona be in the position in terms of the Africanist press to you mention or make reference to, wait Ona for be done in line with that kind of allegation there.
We further allow the Anti-Corruption Commission for proceed. Now I tell you, but just the audit service, I mean, you see how then the parade say the previous administration been corrupt. If the revelations what they see, the Africanist press they pull now, if their revelations then they been come out now the previous administration where they show clear, glaring corruption, transfer of money them, and this administration can now, but Kuman for don't they jail by now.
Opposition,
no, I'm saying it's a fact. Okay, so the president, they say if they give you money, you spend them for the purpose for which they give you the money. It is not corruption. It is fine. So then, what was the $1 million for Lebanon spent for?
Okay, continue.
We need to know. And I'm glad the way Mr. Lima they talk about integrity. Some of we, when we can on radio for talk, where they highlight issues, where they educate the public for let them know. Yeah, I want raise one major thing yesterday. This hotel issue, this
so
debt,
come back to enough
where the
time
president say go pay na Japan for hotel.
Okay, continue for the week.
We really need to look into that because for some of we see and say it is not something that we go easily believe.
Okay,
so
bring in now Mr. Moipe from the C4C party in the Deputy Secretary General. I ask the question we get for do with the fight against corruption because now one of the major things then the way His Excellency be lay emphasis on where he be the campaign and even where he assume office as the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone. From the C4C point of view, waiting on assessment in the things them way President Bill don't do for fight corruption over the past 3 years?
From we on political party points of view, C4C as a party, I want to make it clear, see, the issue of corruption don't they an increase. In the sense, you just look at, you cannot be a player and be a referee at the same time. You go to 34 military hospital. There is a construction going on there, hospital block. The contractor, let's say office of the president, and office of the first lady. And this office is a public office. So can you be a player and be the referee at the same time? Not corruption. If you look into the Africanist press, evidence that they clearly, when you show, bank transaction, the check numbers, and when the matter reach, when Umo Fufana try for reach onto the office of the first lady, they refer to State House. When Umo Fufana go to State House, what did they do? The Minister of Information say, he not get nothing for comment on that. When the matter, when he asks Anti-Corruption Commissioner, which is Ben Kefala say, then go pop into her. Since then start the pop into her, they say they go start from way back, 10 years or 14 years back. And this investigation purely concern the current administration. So, what's in the fight for corruption now?
Okay. Continue for the week we C4C representative Emmanuel Tamba Moripe inside the same issue with the bringing Dr. Dennis Bright, Chairman National Grand Coalition, 3 years in governance. In this present administration, the president may come out strong and speak against corruption. Waiting will be your assessment in terms of addressing corruption. they don't do well on that, or?
Before I go on, my friend Lima have been talking about integrity we can decide as well. and he refer NGC as a party from the south side.
No, I say when a membership from
southeast. Well, me can tell you now, see, in NGC we get membership from all parts of the country. And me, we're not the chairman and leader. Me not from the western area, come out. And if you go study, you go see we get a wide base. If you refer to that, we've been the SLPP before then NGC. You will find out, see, the SLPP with them in the, not be a very diverse party. Not too. Well, I hope so. Anyway, this corruption here, with all due respect to all man, we depend this issue. It's just like a battle for supremacy. Now in the between before and now. Because right now, all indication, in fact, if maybe in inside this government are going to be afraid self for calm, bluff now dance.
Why?
Because of them things that we hang over them right now. This Africanist press, the revelations. You see the detail of the revelations, then you know what I mean? Wasteful spending of the public funds. Me not even talk about issues of procedure or whatever. Wasteful spending of public funds. This government, they spend so much money on promoting your image that, according to Africanist press, where they not dispute it, nearly 6 billion I don't go for travel, for go no more, for go do PR, for promote themselves. Sometimes I make MCC, they clap for them, World Bank, they clap for them, because they don't do all that promotion, they pay dividends. But look at the realities of the people. So now for talk about corruption, obviously, corruption there on the increase. It there on the increase. You remember the irregularities, the way the audit report defend. 2018, 140 something billion. 9 and able for account for. The next one, 2019, 170 billion. So definitely we will see a progressive rise in this corruption. But I can always say at the beginning, the government they show some signs that they're really genuine about fighting corruption. At the beginning, at the start.
You say corruption there, Dr. Bright.
Well, no, it's not.
You say corruption there on the increase, but there are certain things them where presidents being government the way they take up office. For example, giving more powers to the ACC.
Okay, and you don't bring that the kind inside. Me they talk not about the powers we then get by paper. I talk about them performance in front of we all the people. Now, when they started chasing people. We find out they were very effective in hunting down the people and we've been done there before. Corruption we've been done there before. They were very, very effective in doing that. Then set up everything.
So when the change come in?
Wait a second, please now, big at the big. Yeah. So then they don't do all the commission of inquiry. Then call Bio Bele, people and come and everything. They make them very open. Anybody where 146 country fine, it go gladly at that kind of momentum day. We been rise. Then they get white paper. They indict people them, then convict them and everything. Shortly after, which will begin here? We begin here, you see this government self-corrupt. The Auditor General report first 9 begin come. One thing we'll call say, well, let them go discuss on parliament. They say, no, they will discuss on a committee. They will discuss openly in the parliament. That has been the first thing. The next thing now, we begin see Africanist report will never go away from our minds or from the minds of the people or the public. It like how they do and say the details them, transaction number, check number, the details them so glaring that they ask ourselves this question. When and do all that, then say the office of the First Lady, etc., etc. Now that then I find out, say, this anti-corruption commission, when they pray so, when they glad for, it look like something don't be happen. When they go call and say, well, anti-corruption can't go look this now. Now I say, no, I go pick speed force. I go 15 years before. For go pick speed. Now that now so now. Where them say, oh, una say una be investigate all that and you been for go from 17. So now they begin to see now some problem they also. Then the second thing again we make anti-corruption then disappoints me. You know. Then that Chinese speaking and rest. Then go tete, then can we go na Kotol, then we they call them say then sack minister. By the time they make up, then say no, well, actually I will not get evidence again. There are this rest business here. We go left and force. Then we go put the minister back, let go serve back and continue. Young from that ending. Do you know what happens? Now then thing then they make people and they lost trust in the system. Now then reason then they make with the lost trust in the system. So right now, it like all waiting and they talk about corruption. If they're not able for respond.
Different ministry departments and agencies then do the work for improve on service delivery for the citizens them. The Minister of Finance, where they control the country economy. Jacob Jusu Safa say government inside the past 3 years they don't able for add domestic revenue. We make now then they able for pay salary directly from waiting then they gather from the national revenue and they're not the lent couple from the central bank. And this is saying they gather about 140 billion every month as revenue then they use for pay salary and do other developments in them. Well, yesterday the Minister of Finance, Jacob Jusu Safa, be there na the every Thursday press briefing where the Minister of Information and Communication can organize. Saptiu Kalon be there na this press briefing and he go now report.
The Minister of Finance, Jacob Jusu Safa, talk this at the every Thursday press briefing. Also, Ebdegi update about the status of the economy. Also, say the daily revenue collection don't increase, we make government able to pay salary and address other financial demand them directly.
Daily revenue collection has more than doubled for several months, but on average, put it at 20 billion a day. From 10 billion, less than 10 billion to about 20 billion a day. So which means we are now collecting 440 billion on average per month, 22 working days, which is far more than sufficient to take your salary of about 250 to 260. Of course, when you take in consideration payment of salary one-off in a year, it can go up to 300. But on average, about 250 to 260. So which means, therefore, our domestic revenue is sufficient for us at this government to take care of our salary. Then every month, given the huge debt that was accumulated in the past, we are paying about $100 million, $100 billion, about $10 million to $11 million on debt service alone. Domestic debt, external debt. It could go up to 130 even, or 40 if you take into account arrears paid to suppliers, domestic suppliers. So which therefore means before then, you are collecting 220 million and you needed 250 to 60 million. So you were even borrowing money from the central bank or the commercial bank to pay salaries. The good news is that now we don't borrow money from the central bank to pay salaries. I'm not saying we don't borrow, but we don't borrow money from the central bank to pay salaries. Our domestic revenue collection is sufficient enough to take care of our domestic salary. It's sufficient enough to take care of our statutory obligations.
The Minister of Finance, Jacob Jusu Safa, continue and talk about the economic strategy where they used during the term where the coronavirus will just start for provide service to the public.
Now, on the revenue side, overall, we were able in 2019 to go up to 14.6%, very close to 15%, which is the minimum threshold countries are always yearning for. But what happened? 2020, everybody knows, the beginning of 2020, quarter one, we had the pandemic, the coronavirus. We were smart as a government for the first time. We didn't wait for the crisis to go on and start doing recovery plan. What we did almost immediately, side by side with the health sector response with quick action economic recovery program. We projected revenue loss about $100 million, about $1 trillion, $100 million. It was going to be extremely difficult to fill that gap that the corona was going to leave in terms of financing our budget. But luckily, we were able to sell that product out, attracted substantial amount of resources, unprecedented, to the extent that you don't even feel it, or you didn't feel corona in terms of lateness in payment of salaries. We even started massive infrastructure road construction. For those who travel widely, let's get back to your villages. Travel across the country, you see, not all everywhere is paved, but connectivity is improving. Movement is being eased. I am proud to say these are 100% of government. We spent over $40 million on corona. You know what that would have meant if there was no corona? That would have done massive work across the country.
Jacob Jusu Safa inside this update on the country economy and how government done the manage am for 3 years now. Continue say then be able to mobilize and increase external grants.
As a smart government, through the leadership of President Bill, we have been able to mobilize external grants. We've mobilized total external grants we mobilized between 2018 and 2017. The external resources mobilized in this country was in the neighborhood of less than $50 million. I'm pleased to report that in that same 2019, that number went up to $438 million project resources. And as I speak to you, between 2018 to end of 2020 or February 2021, we mobilized over $900 million for different project activities. Why is it that we have been able to mobilize? What is sitting behind that? One is the political leadership and effective management of the economy. If they don't trust you, they don't give you money. And I'm pleased to say that out of the $900 million mobilized in the last 3 years, 2/3 of that, nearly 67%, are grants. Why do you think people can give you the money, taxpayer? That within 8 months we are able to restore our relations with the IMF and the World Bank.
Where is the answer to different questions them, but the expectation of the public on the bread and butter. The Minister of Finance, Jacob Jusu Safa, say 3 years are not enough for let the able make the country economy stable like how people expect. But end up say government need more time for able for improve and increase facility them. We go better the life of people them na salon. For the Society for Radio Democracy, me na Saptio Kalon.
All right, we continue with the program. Good morning, Salon, where they come to you from the Society for Radio Democracy 98.1 FM. We still get the political party them and the studio APC, C4C, NGC, and the SLPP. Where they assess President Bio in 3 years in office, where he don't take over power as the president of the Republic of Sierra Leone. Earlier, before we go for that report day, Lima, we don't talk to APC, C4C, NGC on the area of corruption. Corruption are one of the things them way President Bill being lay emphasis on say it can affect. 3 years down the line, how the SLPP on a party way they in governance go assess waiting the president don't do for fight corruption?
Well, corruption firstly the SLPP being seen one as a social malice and as a thing way na a threat to national security. So we place premium in the fight against corruption. But for I begin can look at some of the practical measures that we don't take in terms of the fight against corruption. Make I just say, we fight against corruption. The results it clearly shows say we're very, very successful because the MCC at the time when we take over governance, this country been only day at 49%, and today we don't able to hit the pass mark. We, in terms of even competing with other countries, we don't take the lead. We don't qualify for the compact of the MCC, which is we go a long way for sure how much we're serious about fighting corruption and also other policies measures that we will take for make sure say the human rights situations of the country, the independence of the judiciary, all of them factors, and they wouldn't take into account trafficking of persons, then social protection thing. Then they don't show say not just the fight against corruption, like for whole money na people in hand, but other policy measures themselves we go able for improve on human living conditions in the country. Don't show say this government don't do well. We make we able for score high by the MCC compact. And again, for like we also see like other donor countries, them like the EU, the IMF, they give grants to countries like Sierra Leone. It means say with policy measures them they in place we then donor bodies then they satisfy with where they make them they give then grants then they. That shows say even in terms of putting policy as to how you they even fight against corruption is very key as well. When we come now power, a lot of people been feel say this government they can't run after people, jail people them without even going through the due process of law for against the fight. In the fight against corruption. But as a government, we believe in the rule of law, and we believe also in the independence of other arms of government, in particular the judiciary. The government decide first for do a stock take, and after the stock take, there were a lot of unanswered questions based on the recommendation made by that stock taking. Then decide for institute the commission of inquiry for make somebody not go even say. Now, national people them, they don't feel biased or they don't intimidate them. We count foreign judges them as well. We can preside, and we all follow the process. We see them be an open and transparent commissions of inquiry where even the APC, then lawyers, then represent them. They, at the end of the day, we see the outcome. But again, with that against, we still believe in the rule of law. And say the one them way they name the initially them if you say we they can cherry pick and pull people and way perhaps we all come on at the same region or we them say they get affiliation with SLPP. But when the report come on, we see say even people and we not be serving authorities in this administration, they name them they and government relieve them from offices and also give them the right and scope for make them go for appeal. We should say we believe in the rule of law. And so now the steps then we take. I even remember at some point in time, the NGC, under the leadership of Dr. Brightner, then they even call me for look we dialogue, look we negotiate, let's see how best to go manage this thing out of court or out of this or out of that. So if today then I again say, yes, I remember at some point to get a talk on one social media program where one guy be organized from Holland. We talk. Where I even say, okay, if people then, I remember vividly my statement, I said, if we not feel say for take up this fight against corruption.
An authority from NGC.
Yeah, well, the chairman of NGC was there advocating that we talk this thing outside. Anyway, let me make my point. Dr. Bright, we were on a program when we were discussing. I still remember that. Please. Certainly, I don't tell lies anyway. So basically, yeah, I don't tell lies consciously though. so at the end of the day, we see people like even Dr. Bright. Them be tell say, Lord, we dialogue this thing, Lord, we come out of them systems. Now I'm saying there is an evidence to the fact. I will go back to the guy go produce back the video recording if he's still keeper. So at the end of the day, we don't see people them way. I will prove it. At the end of the day, we don't see people that way that don't even call, say, Lord, we dialogue, Lord, we forget about this, Lord, we see how best to go forge the peace of this country. But we believe in the rule of law. And to an extent, even my statement towards that was, let me see how much, if people that were engaged in corruption, let them come out to the public and say, we are sorry, we apologize, we had a responsibility, we made mistakes, but at the end of the day, we are ready to make that amends and we are ready to work with government. That was, in fact, my direct statement in response to that. But at the end of the day, we believe in the rule of law. We still let the rule of law take in course. Anybody will feel aggrieved or the report of the commissions of inquiry, go to the appeals court. After that process, then we'll see what is necessary for do. In terms of talking about the audit report here, the audit report itself, we don't see a situation outside and take the report from 2016, 2017, 2018 to 2020, where then blend everything together and pull them, misleading the public on waiting at the correct picture of who that involved, who that not involved. If them been dissect then report then by 2015, 2016, then you know what's in the involvement, then you're able to vindicate
what
people.
What do you mean misleading the public, Lima?
Misleading the public about a budget of 120 billion that is unaccounted for or that is not, we get red flag. So essentially, if you put that in bulk without dissecting them, it appears as if now the current administration take responsibility of that, which is not the case. Let we even take, for instance...
so the audit service be mislead the public about them funds today?
Yes, in the sense...
so?
Fine. In the sense that publishing it in bulk, it appears as if now within 3 years, government don't iPhone 127 million we don't know able to account for. Until when people go into the report and dissect the report, before we brought out themselves, we never they celebrate, take caution now, then say begin accuse now the Auditor General. So we don't see situations. I say we neighbor them. So we don't know say na neighbor. I go take account of that.
So they give premium to the audit report and consider and discuss what happened to the Africanist press where they point out so many corruption allegations.
Just allow
and
me.
up till now the public not see any emphasis on that.
Now in terms of looking at the audit report, where CDB they raise, where other speakers and don't raise, as far as me concerned here in the first place, the APC really not get any standing for talk about corruption. But really? I'll come up from that. In terms of the audit, how the APC look at audit report generally. Now then we don't look at audit report as mere opinion, whereas we take we take them beyond looking at it as mere opinion. What thing we don't do? When the Auditor General don't do a report and publish them, the PSC, they take the report and look at them, then go into them and do a report to the SEC where necessary. The SEC look into them. And we've seen practical steps taken after the PSC don't look to and write a report. We don't see situations where the SEC don't go even to NACOVAC. In areas where there was also misinformation about the procurement of generator and other equipment there. Also, even the agencies that will provide then properties and as gifts to the NACOVAC. Then I don't say there was the generator was procured, not just that there was a wrong specification with them buy. We see ACC also take steps where they relieve some people of their job, some of them then punish them. So practically there has been steps taken in terms of addressing the audit report through the PSC and working in collaboration also with the SEC for
So now to me question about the emphasis on the audit report for say misleading. We don't see a lot of corruption allegation from the Africanist press. We don't be a discussion to everybody, both locally and internationally.
This is not the second time. Me not can normally run for a premium to Africanist press, but in as much as you don't raise them consistently, you don't build something into the minds of the public. Make I take me time to talk about them. If you check the Africanist press, much of in articles the way they write in sole source of reference than the audit report, right? And one of the things it tried for established now that the office of the First Lady not to an established public office, and therefore the Ministry of Finance not get right for disburse money to the functioning of that office. If that is what he has established, then we have gone further for like we able to prove whether the Ministry of Finance not get right for disburse money to the office of the First Lady. We've checked that. There is a provision in the Public Finance Management Act where say the Minister of Finance can disburse money to any office where at least they undertake functions where it is in the interest of the public or where now of public good. And one such venture where the First Lady in office don't take now the hands of our girls campaign, when are the one of the biggest non-governmental campaign in the protection of women and girls in this country. And so if that is very much relevant, we also raise the flag of this country up for sure say we are doing a very good job in protecting women and girls. Then the Minister of Finance here very necessary and lucrative for disburse public fund for that. So that's able for
say in terms of the evidence system where they come with their publication, then they check numbers, transfer, and even the procedures when they use for transfer them money.
Then pieces of evidence not suggest corruption. It suggests the fact say the Bank of Sierra Leone disbursed money to the office of the First Lady, where the Africanist press gets this misleading thoughts in mind say the office of the First Lady is a non-public office and therefore should not receive public money. But forgetting the fact say not being aware of a provisions in the Public Finance Management Act say the Minister of Finance can disburse certain percentage of money to any agency where they undertake something where they have public interest until that is clarified.
Apart of from the office of the First Lady and the implementation of the hands of our girls, how about you always talk about the honeymoon traveling where His Excellency anywhere do and the amount of money they spend on that?
Well, people just want to make politics out of that, and we all know here very clearly say, now like where you go give back talk to people and where they wish bad for anybody. We all know say the president at the time been travel on health grounds or on health issues. And if on that note, a lot of people been they propagate, say the president don't die, or this is what has happened to him and all, anybody will get Yusuf Khadija will sit down there. If not anybody say down there against you, man, you will be so bitter to the extent that sometimes you will even decide for Guy Sotel to call back talk. Sometimes you can forget perhaps the status where you hold say you shouldn't say this. But however, let us take and say, na back talk Ibingi say na honeymoon with camper. In the interest, yes, in the interest of saying, in the interest of saying that indeed, as a leader, una all forget sympathy for una leader when a difficult situation meets that leadership. If you not get that courtship, forget sympathy for your leader and offer prayer for him, but you don't wish bad for her. And she's a human too. Okay. Every human being can respond to that kind of situations. Then they say certain things. And me believe say if he say that, and not say that in the bid for say really in a honeymoon, then go. But if you not wish good for your leader, and if he say at the point in time that was how she could even respond to the situation for just feel say the president they cope in health situation and that they are doing well. And indeed, when the presidents have come back. And in first statement, at least if you make fun out of the whole thing, say a lot of people been thinking say they will bring a bodyguard, a body bag, but they say old soldier never die. Indeed, the old soldier is strong and kicking, ready to take on the 2020 above elections.
Okay,
Lawrence
continue for the with publicity secretary for the Sierra Leone People's Party.
Would they try for wrap up the program now? And quickly, would they come to CDI Tunis from the APC? Would they wrap up now? Waiting in terms of recommending, what do you feel say for the next 2 years His Excellency is supposed to focus on now as to developing the country?
Well, thank you very much. I mean, you know, in the first place, for let you able to do anything, you get for be sincere, you get for be honest. And whenever we sit down for address the people of this country, we get for tell them the truth.
Which you have not.
I'm not going to imagine say you go spend $1 million of money and you give it back talk because you not tell me the truth about waiting the president really go.
But if you not care for your leader in health as well,
you know, so. I mean, when I tell we say the president go on a private trip for a week, when I not tell we say go for medical or anything. So for let people begin to ask questions after $1 million has been spent and then you tell me about back talk, it is unfortunate. But in any case, let me move further. I want to address this issue of the hotels. We all know, say, when the presidents then they travel to any country, they must have traveled on invitation of the host government of that country day. And the Japan trip where His Excellency President Julius Maada Bio go now on the DCAD conference, which means in accommodation, in protocols, all been taken care of by the government of Japan. And series of visits by people before him suggest that. So we want to know which hotel landed where you go pay debt. Now for order a pay that debt say. And we also want to know why in foreign we also want to know why they actually be almost dragged in ambassador on a meeting in Russia. Because for let you be ambassador, you must have presented your credentials, they must have found out and all before they appoint you. But going forward, we they look forward for a country who say we get unity, who say we get peace, who say we get cohesion.
Okay.
APC was never ever invited to the peace conference that been to Mani. All the invitation with this government don't extend to political parties, APC don't go. Okay. Even when it came to the COVID vaccination, even tonight, when I go talk back to me. So,
Quickly, Mr. Moipe.
I want for just to go light on the free quality education, which we not discuss here. I'm not saying we not get.
So then for promote and to minister, but let them not get deputy minister. Then they look boku. Then you for merge some of the ministries there, like a youth and sports, so just make a one instead of review priorities them. That food, water, health, and inclusiveness, as well as cost of doing business. Then get for review taxation, review the free quality education.
Aye. Mama, make you pray for me. Because we don't tire. We don't tire for this oppression. That's why we dey ask for solution. Police they kill your soul. Governments they burn our soul. No be lion, hey. Now what thing we go do? Now we dey do. Cause if we not stand up, nothing for tomorrow. What thing we go tell our pikin? Say we no fight for our rights. Mama, 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 mama. Why don't they kill us all? I beg now what we do. Just because say we don't ask for what they're supposed to do before. Hey, hey, hey. Because we stand for our rights. They want to have our life. Let's keep the fire burning until we see the morning. Mama, pray for us that we may never give up. My voice now waiting I get.